Hey guys, and welcome to our video blog. And today I actually asked Steve Walsh. He helps us with middle school, doing like games and fun stuff, running around throwing dodgeballs at kids' heads and stuff like that. All the stuff that is the fun part about doing student ministry. Steve gets to do that. He's a really cool guy, and we've been talking, and I thought it might be really cool to have his story as part of this lesson today. So Steve, go ahead. What do you got?
Well, when you were talking last week about God's view, I really connected with it, and I came up to you and spoke with you afterwards, and said I really felt like God gave me a story that maybe went along with what you're talking about with the kids.
That's cool. And so you had mentioned about kind of growing up, and the lesson today is kind of about like how we have this distorted view of how we can have a distorted view of God, and you had your story kind of really fed into that.
Yeah, I really have a close story that I think that goes along well with that. When I was about 12 years old, I was the oldest child of 4 kids, and my mom was diagnosed with cancer, with breast cancer. And so we were Catholic, we were raised Catholic in our community, and the Catholic Church really didn't have any answers for us. They really didn't reach out to our family. But I remember a Christian church reached out to us. They started coming, cleaning our house, making meals for us. And they started telling us that, they started making this claim that God could heal my mom if we just had enough faith.
Yeah.
And
I grew up in a kind of similar background. I don't know if we talked about that, but where a church that basically believed like if you believe it hard enough and pray hard enough, it'll happen.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that was kind of what they were saying.
yeah, they were basically saying if it was all based on my faith, on our faith. If we had enough faith, God would heal my mom. If we didn't have enough faith, then it just wasn't going to happen.
So what happened?
She passed away when I was 13 years old, and it really, I started walking away from God, walking in the wrong direction because I felt like God wasn't big enough to heal my mom. And I had this, that's where it comes into view, that I had this distorted view of who God really was.
Yeah.
And that he really did care about me.
So, so you kind of like destroy this view. You had this view presented to you that if you believed hard enough and you had enough faith and prayed hard enough that your mom would be healed.
Right.
Your mom wasn't healed, she died.
Right.
And so that kind of like messed you all up. So what happened from there?
God didn't give up on me. Even though I had given up on God, he didn't give up on me. And so based on the circumstances I look back on, God, my father got remarried, we moved to another town, we went to a different church, and through that church, God orchestrated and worked out all the areas of my life where I had questions about God, and he answered all those questions, and he showed me that he still loved me, and that even though things didn't work the way I wanted them to, God was huge, and he was bigger than I ever imagined him to be, and he just he blew away all those distortions, and I had to come to the conclusion that God really was real, and he really cared about me.
That's cool. One of the things that I know is that like whenever something happens like that, like your mom dying, and there's like this like you get to a moment where you're kind of like your faith is kind of shaken a little bit, whatever. Usually God uses those times to kind of prepare you for something else or whatever. Has God used that situation with the church, your mom dying, to make you the man that you are today? Or?
Oh, absolutely, Chad. I look back on the areas of my life where they didn't make sense to me when I was 12, 13 years old. I mean, it just didn't. But now as an adult, I can look back and I can see it's like a big picture, and it's all in pieces. And it just looked like a lone little piece that didn't make sense in the puzzle. And now I can look back and it all makes sense. And God used that event in my life to really increase my faith in him. And each event in my life that I can look back on where I had to really trust God, I had to hold on to him and trust him or walk away. And each time in my life where he came through, he came through in big ways. And he never stopped, he never let go of me.
Yeah.
And now I can see myself, just having incredible faith because of what God did in my life.
That's awesome. And so now, where you are now, I've noticed that you're a really strong guy.
Thank you.
You're not just physically strong, but you're a single dad.
Yeah.
You work full-time job.
Full-time job, yeah.
And taking care of four kids.
4 kids, yeah.
And I just think it's really awesome to see the man that you are, and despite the challenges that you've had in your life, that God's created, made you stronger through those challenges.
Right.
And I think it's a great story to share because it has to do with this idea that like sometimes we have this view of God, but as we grow and understand more, we understand those times we were disappointed or we felt let down by God is really times that we can grow stronger
Right.
in our faith.
And that's why I wanted to share my story. I think that there are kids out there right now that are going through tough times that may not make sense. God may not make sense to them. They may have the same distorted view or maybe a different distorted view that I had.
Yeah.
And I would just like to encourage them that if they will trust their God, if they'll put their trust in God, that He will work things out and it will make sense at some point. And they can get through this, and He does care about them. Even though He may not answer every little prayer the way they want Him to, He does care about them and love them.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Steve, so much.
You're welcome.
Anything else you want to say, or we're good?
No, I love doing youth group with these kids. They're great kids, and I'm excited about what's going on, what God's doing in their lives.
Yeah, and they love you, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, see you guys next time.